Alright, so that's the second one ready for mounting on the truck. Job well done. I've gone and got 2 leaf springs from the scrapyard, junkyard, and the reason is I'm after the bushings at the end of them. So they cost me nothing. The guy said just bring them back because all he needs is the weight content of the steel, and I only wanted the 2 eyelets at the end, so nothing. And these are them. I've cut them off already. I'll show you in a bit. As I was saying, that I've cut the bushes off already. They look like they were from Iron Man, which is I think it's Australian product for upgrading your suspension. And looking at this leaf springs, I think they might have come off a Ford Ranger or something, looking at them. But anyway, here's them after I've cut them off. So this is the bigger one. Cut it off right there. So that would have been on the leaf spring like so. And yeah, and what I did was they made that polyurethane stuff, which is really strong. So that's the chunky one that I want. And these are the smaller versions. Just took them anyway, but these don't have any inserts. So I'm wondering if they rely on the actual nut and bolt, whereas these do. And I was keen to try and get them off. And as you can see here, I've managed to take them off. And I'll just undo that while I'm here, see if I can. One hand on the camera. Maybe not. Let's try it. So back again, nuts off. Nut and bolt. And yeah, so I've taken them apart, prized them out, and I'll just try again and take that off. It's a bit tight now because I actually so that's what they look like. They're very hard. And there's the insert, which also comes out. So I press these out on the vise. So that's those two. And the insert. And here's the ring. So what I've done, after cutting it off like that, off the spring, I welded it up, and I'm trying to get it as smooth as possible. Might need a little bit more fettling, but it's as round as I can get it. They come like that with this funny cut there. But anyway, that will fit in there. It'll be a tight fit. That will go in there. And the whole assembly with the bolt. And I'm going to use these. They're going to be used for the final mechanism that holds the bed onto the chassis. So we've got these 4, which give the bed some movement away from the chassis, especially when off-roading. And these 2 should be the final ones, which will be orientated this way. Will have a much, I guess, stronger fixing, but will still afford the chassis to be able to move. I'll be using a similar system. These are the old ones that I told you about the other day, but I'm going to somehow make a bracket around here to anchor this whole circular part, like this piece, to the chassis of the truck, using something similar to this plate, and bolt them on, because as we all know, you can't weld those chassis, or you're not supposed to, because it causes integrity issues. Anyway, that's the plan. I'll let you know how it goes as I make the brackets as usual. Bye for now. As I mentioned before, this is the last holding points from the bed to the chassis. So if you remember, I had some of these brackets that I got from the scrap place. They're the last two I've got. That's basically what I've made all these out of, and these. So that's the four. They've got the suspension, and these basically are a lot more rigid, but I got these, as I said before, off a coil spring, a leaf spring off a truck, or a ute as we call them in Australia. And I've taken this one apart, pulled out all the actual inserts, the bushes, and the steel bush that goes inside them, and the nut and bolt. So what I've decided to do, rather than try and get another two of these, I'm going to use the same two and cut them in half and pretty much put the bushes there. I'm trying to lose this hole because that's how they came. So I'm going to make sure I cut these out so it incorporates that hole so you'll never see it again. And I'm going to cut this with a good old hole cutter. Managed to find one that matches. It's going to be a bit of a mission because this is at least 10 mil thick. But if you look, it's just a smidgen bigger. And I reckon that'd be perfect when I need to weld it on. So basically this is going to go through a hole, through this plate, flush with the bottom, and I'm going to weld it, and that will be fixed to this half, and then obviously this will be cut down the middle, and I'm going to weld that one to the half. Then this one is going to be the top plate that actually comes down from the truck bed to meet these. It'll become more explanatory as I make it, I guess. So here we go. Just putting the V-groove in there. I did it with the reamer before, but I don't know, not getting the same results. I'm just going to try it with the actual angle grinder, see what that looks like. I've now created this V-groove all the way around. I've ground the galvanized surface off here because this is where it's going to be brazed. I didn't do this to the other one, so I'm going to have to do that to the other one. So the V-groove is on both sides and it's ready for taking this in there. Alright, now they're tightened. This guy goes on top like that. Alright. So the idea is that is the bit that's going to move. That's bolted to the chassis now. I've got a nice gap in between which is resting on the rubber of the bush, and I've got a nice lip. I can do a decent weld around that eyelet, and then I can also weld under here. I'm going to put some bracing brackets in there. I've realized that really you can't quite get a socket on these bolts. You can on these bottom ones, but this one here, it'll just have to be done with a spanner, or I might reverse them and tighten the nut from the inside. It's good practice to have two one way and two the other, just in case, although it's always good to see nuts from the outside. day, thank goodness, only about 31 degrees Celsius. It has been really hot, 47 point something a couple of days ago. So my shed being a tin roof, I was just not going to do it in here, it's too hot. So anyway, progress. This is the bush bracket. I've decided to use MIG welding instead of, TIG welding, because I wanted deeper penetration and I wanted to make sure that it was having good contact. The other one here is cooling down next to the fan. I only do a little bit at a time because I don't want any warpage issues. Because the TIG welder is set quite high. Yeah, so it's still a warm day. So bit by bit, and I'm just going to fill the weld up here. I can't touch it because it's so hot. Until it's about level. I want this to look quite nice. Not that you'll really see it. And the underside I'm not too worried about. But yeah, making progress. Slow progress, but progress. So, well, you shouldn't be in here when it's not good for you. Yeah, all loaded up. That ain't going nowhere. But the problem is with all that heat, it's going to start warping. So I'm going to clamp it down now and keep that L same because it's going to start curving like that. Okay, that looks pretty good. It's not bending yet, but that will keep it down square. Come in and visit me. I don't really like them in here when I'm welding because it's not good for their eyes. And yeah, I just try and keep them out of the shed. That includes all the splatter and stuff. It's not really good for them. So, hello fellow welders. I haven't filmed every little bit because it gets a bit boring. So what I'm doing at the moment is I have now made this backing plate with a little hole for a plug weld, and I've just tacked this on. That's going to fill the buffer between where the tow bar mounts the chassis and this bush assembly. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to weld these tabs, and I've made a little groove so I can fill weld that and then grind it flat. Essentially what these are going to do is hold the wood that buffers the chassis to the actual bed. So I'm going to put M8, probably stainless steel nuts and bolts that go right through the wood, which is about 65mm thick, and yeah, hold that down onto the chassis. It's that piece of wood that creates the sort of buffer between the direct vibration from the truck wheels and axle and all that up to the bed. So progressively, the more I can limit the amount of jarring that occurs between the road surface and the box, the better. So that's this plan. So I'll show you when I've got it tacked up and what it looks like. So there you go. Now to weld it up properly. Time for reinforcements. Alright, a little bit more there. It's a bit short compared to that. I think we're nearly there. There we go. Beauty. Alright, so that's the second one ready for mounting on the truck.